Hello, Lou Hamilton from Audible Elegance here in Cincinnati, Ohio. What I want to do today is talk about the difference between audio rooms and home theater rooms. And the primary person giving me the best insight on the home theater rooms was none other than Tomlinson Holman. THX is the beginning of his little puppy. And the principles usually around an audio room is a very specific shape, dimensions. Okay, that's number one. And what I call is construction to make a, quote, fast room. Now, the term fast refers to how rigid or how inflexible the surfaces are. Because once the room introduces its own sort of vibration, it's very difficult to get that out. Whereas if you have any aberrations with a fast room, you can use different types of treatment to bring it down. So the shapes usually are rectangular. There can be occasionally other shapes, but it's usually rectangular. And of the specifics, one of the golden rules is no dimension can divide, what we call it, the other, nor a common number. So if you had a room that was 8 by 10 by 12, the problem you have there is it's all divisible by the number 2. So you're going to have some standing wave problems and things like that. Or if you have 8-foot ceilings in a 16-foot room, you have 8 that can divide 16. So you try to have measurements that do not create these sonic anomalies by making sure that no dimension is divisible by another or by a common number. That's the fundamentals. Fast, dimensional shape, okay, general room size. Home theater is very different, and this is where things can get kind of messed up because people want to do this. They want both. But the fundamentals of the room are different. So if you're going to have one system trying to do both, you're going to have to decide which direction you're going to fall down, because you're in terms of construction and rooms. You're not going to get both. Guaranteed. Sorry. So with home theater, you have more open to dimensions. It's not unusual to actually have a sort of fan shape to it. Okay. I'm not a particular fan of the fan shape because it dramatically increased cost of the building of the room. But one of the things you don't want in that room construction is what's known as a fast room. The reason being is that home theater is essentially trying to stimulate the environment. You're trying to have a whole experience as opposed to an experience only by the speakers. At some point, some people try to add affectionately what were known as butt kickers to couches and chairs that were timed or programmed to what was happening in the movie. Because what they were trying to do was enhance the experience, what I call the Disney experience. Bring another sense into the experience, which was the word feel. Now, anybody who has been to Disney World or Disneyland has experienced this along with the visuals and the sound. They take it one step further. You go to the haunted house and you smell must. Well, they're also playing with smell, but they're bombarding the hell out of your senses. Home theater is attempting to do something very similar, particularly if you're talking action type movies, or you're watching Apollo 13 and the rocket is blasting off and you have all that flames and smoke and they want you to feel that. If you're that close, you would feel it. It would be deaf, but would feel it, and maybe burn too. But where that's not a priority, it's not, audio is not designed around that concept. The only audio performance that I've heard which was intentionally bombastic was actually, Berlioz Requiem, when you have all of those pieces of percussion at it, between the drums and then all of the layers of horns. But it was the drums themselves creating, the presence of God. But really, most of the time, no. Now, that's different than simply playing loud. Anybody who's been to a Grateful Dead concert knows that that's loud. But it's kind of the mode as opposed to trying to create an expression within the music itself. But home theater, on the other hand, they want you to feel it. So you don't want a fast room. You want a room that can give a little bit. Now, in this process of giving, one of the things, which is a nightmare for both, okay, is essentially zero rattle. You don't want any surface or HVAC system rattling when you're playing loud. That's just simply not in either format and very annoying. So early on in the construction of a home theater room, one of the best things to do is to bring over the subwoofer and power it up, try to shake the shit out of the room, because that'll reveal anything that's loose or can rattle. And it gives you an opportunity before the room is finished to address it. Because once you finish a room and paint it, if you got to go in and start trying to fix things, you are going to get into a repainted ceiling or a repainted wall or drywall repair, and people aren't real happy about that. So the fast room here, one of the things you don't very rarely see, particularly in the basement, is the addition of essentially what you would call a subfloor. Now, people will make risers and such so that they're floating so that they vibrate from the sound, but you can also have a flat floor, but you're actually building a surface that can vibrate along with it. So the concepts are very different. I have constantly had this argument with people about how they're supposed to be. I'm sorry, I talked to the master. I've talked to the masters. You can't have both because their priorities are different. So you can try to make them as similar as possible, but you're winding up compromising between these two priorities. I'm not advocating you have to have a separate home theater and a separate audio room, okay? I get it. Everybody has a limited amount of money. But if you're going to do it, then you have to decide what is more important to you and lean in that direction. If you can afford both, great. Love to have you as a customer, We can do both. I have done both. But the reality is most people have a hybrid. So there we are. Thank you for giving a listen. People want to give me some feedback, go for it, because I've got 25 years of experience in the home theater area and 39 years in the audio. I've spoken at CES 6 times on home theater alone. So if you want to challenge the old man, go for it.